Bum, bum,
Ba-da-da,
bum,
bum,
bum.
bum.
Hell yeah, that's a one win away from the World Series.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, we spent an entire year. We were doing this from the very beginning of the season
Oh,
all the way till now. We are now one game away from making it to the World Series. That feels pretty good, Marcus.
it feels fantastic. To have watched this team, to see the ups and downs of them. To go through just it's weird. This team's so good, right? They're so talented from top to bottom, and like because we're baseball fans, we agonize over the day to day. But just to get to this moment right now feels good. I know the job's not done, but it feels nice.
Yeah, it does feel really nice. And Jasmine, good morning. Dodgers in 5. Let's get it done today. Yeah, I'm going to get
I
into a little
agree.
bit. Let's get into that a little bit. But before we do, why don't you tell us about our friends at LAX?
That's right. The Blue Review, as always, is presented by LAX at Los Angeles International Airport. Changes, they are arriving daily. They're trying to reduce traffic, save guest time, and transform the travel experience. Info at flylax.com/transforming LAX, or you can just ask George Sedano because that is his home away from home.
Yes, very much so. All right, so let's get into a little bit of yesterday's game. But I want to start in this one specific spot, Marcus. Let's do it this way. We all need to take a breath.
Yes.
Everybody needs to take a breath. You're up 3-1. You feel great. Baseball is a weird sport. Just until you have all 4 wins, the series is not over. The Dodgers came back on the Braves when they were down 3-1. I think it was 2021 or 2022, somewhere around there. Wherever it was, it happens. All it takes is one swing of the bat. It could have been yesterday when it was bases loaded and nobody out. If they just got a couple hits there and turned that tide and made it 8-7, and then everything could have changed. So until it's done, it's not done. Like the great Kobe Bryant said, job's not finished.
Job's not finished. Although here's the thing. I think to sort of guard against that, you may have the best guy ever in the dugout, right? And Dave Roberts, who knows about coming back from deficits, the biggest stolen base in the history of the Boston Red Sox. That was Dave Roberts to spark a comeback from 3-0 down against the Yankees. So if there's ever anybody who can sort of warn guys and help you protect against a letdown in this situation, it very well could be Dave Roberts.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point, and it was another reason to believe in Dave Roberts. Which, if you listen to the show at the beginning of the year, and you listen to shows last year, and probably the year before that, and anything other than 2020, you'd be hearing the exact opposite. So it's really nice to say things like that now. There's just so many good things going on, and really it starts. Let's just start right at the top, and we're going to get into the pitching, but I want to start right at the top with Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani had a really weird line for most of the night. He was at one point, first of all, I called that home run. I don't know if anybody heard me on Mason Ireland. I said it multiple times. He was going to have a leadoff home run to get over that 0-for-22 slump with nobody on base.
It's weird that a guy who's been mashing the ball all year can somehow hit with nobody on base. Who would have thought that could happen?
Weird.
I mean, the 0-for-22 thing was one of those weird baseball anomalies, right? Like there's no logic behind it. There's no analytics that could explain it. It's just one of those weird things that happens in baseball. And you knew eventually he was going to break out of that. He was going to get a hit with nobody on base. The guy's just too good. And so the fact that he did it in typical Shohei fashion by launching a rocket over the right center field wall, I mean, it just fit.
Yeah, it absolutely fit. We saw, you're like, oh, okay, this is what's happening today. I get it. And he was 1-for-1 with 3 walks and 4 runs scored at one point. And that is just a weird line to look at when you're looking at the box score. You're like, 1-for-1 with 4 runs scored. What the hell did you do? So, but that just shows you about how this lineup is working, right, Marcus? Like you have Mookie, who had an amazing game yesterday. And for all those doubters that were out there, oh, Mookie sucks, we should drop him in the lineup. Yeah. Well, how are you feeling about that now?
Again, another guy who has just put up a long track record of success that was going through a rough patch, but knowing that it's not going to last forever, and especially with a guy like Mookie who just works so hard at trying to be great all the time. But now it's put the Mets in a really bad spot because you don't want to pitch to Shohei because he can hurt you with the bat. He hasn't even really tried to steal. He hasn't tried to steal a base in this series. He got thrown out once in the Padres series. Was it this series that he got thrown out?
He got thrown here. Alvarez.
That's right. Threw him out. So like he hasn't really tried the stolen base a whole lot in this series. But he can hurt you with his legs. So you're afraid to pitch to him, but you put him on base, and now Mookie is on fire. Last night they did it without Freddie in the lineup. Tommy Edman legit could be the MVP of this series. He really could.
Yes, very much so.
The way he's hitting the ball right now, playing good defense over at shortstop, he's been wonderful. But yeah, Shohei, being able to hit with nobody on base now. It was a little bit of a happy learned how to putt. Sort of moment for the Mets yesterday.
It's a great callback. I like that.
What that was.
Yeah. So you were telling me a story before we came on here about Shohei. Can you just explain to the people out there how maybe some people just aren't that into this game as we are?
I get it, man. Like some Dodger fans, like I know a lot of us, and certainly everybody in the chat, I know that you guys are on top of everything and you're watching this team and you understand how things work. But maybe not every Dodger fan is quietly is tuned in and to this thing. A friend of mine who is a Mets fan went to Game 2 of that series at Dodger Stadium. Obviously the Mets get the big win in that one, and he says that a Dodger fan came up to him near the end of the game. I think it was the 9th inning. Wanted to shake his hand, say congratulations on the win today. And my friend, the Mets fan, responds with, "Thank you, but you guys have a very good team." To which the Dodger fan responds, "Yeah, all except for that guy standing on first base." And they look, and the guy standing on first base is Shohei Ohtani. And my friend, the Mets fan, says, "Wait, you mean Shohei?" The Dodger fan responds with, "Yeah, that bleeper never swings the bat. He just walks all the time." To which my friend really didn't have a response because what do you say to something like that? So.
Quite possibly the best hitter in the history of the game it does not swing the bat. And also just the night before hit a massive bomb that almost left Citi Field. There was like 3 rows before leaving Citi Field. So, he'll swing every once in a while.
Every once in a while. But so maybe not every Dodger fan is on top of how things are going right now.
Oh, just ridiculous. But hey, it's okay. We got to give them a little bit of credit. At least they're watching the game and they're good for them. Okay, so I do see in a little bit of chat, there's a lot of talk. I think you mentioned it too, the Edman MVP. I think that's a legit subject, and he's a legit choice too. I think if you're going to look at it, I think Jack Flaherty today really chooses makes it. Am I here? Is Marcus here? I got it. Is it just me? Okay. Okay. So either way, technical difficulties in the studio right now. Hopefully Marcus comes back soon because I froze and I think he's gone now too. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if it was you that were frozen. It was me that was frozen. So I just figured I'd refresh and we'd try.
Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about Edman as MVP. He has a legit shot at being the MVP. There's only a few guys. I think Jack Flaherty has a shot to get this as well. Mm-hmm. If he looks like he did on Sunday for game 1, if he goes 7 innings, no runs, I think he's got a legit shot at it too. I think Edman has a legit shot at it. Weirdly, even though he's only walked, I think Muncy has a chance at it. And I would also think then obviously Mookie and Shohei are all the way up there. Who would you be most likely to give it to right now, assuming that it ends today? It's not happening. I don't want to put that in the ether yet. I want to see that it actually happens first. I'm not getting too ahead of myself.
I think I give it to Edman. I mean, the guy's hitting .412 right now, 7 for 17 in the series, 7 RBIs. He's played some great defense over at shortstop. Had a couple of really nice plays last night. In a tough spot. Like I know, they missed turning that double play, which would have gotten them out of 1 inning, but still a couple of really nice scoops over there at short. He's done everything. I mean, they've moved him up and down the lineup. Last night he hit in the cleanup spot. He's hit near the bottom of the lineup. He's really been a catalyst. He's been a run producer for this team. I feel like he's earned it at this point. And you're right. If Flaherty pitches well tonight, he's very much in consideration. But as of this moment, for me, it's Tommy Edman.
Yeah, it's a great choice. And there's also one more. Can we just give it to the bullpen as a whole? Like not one guy, not to Blake Trinan, but just like to the entire bullpen. They've given up, forget about Edgardo Henriquez, forget about Landon Knack. They have given up one run. Ryan Brazier gave up a solo home run to Francisco Lindor. And any of the high leverage guys, that's the only run that has been given up by a reliever. Besides, the Henriquez and Knack stuff that doesn't count in my mind.
Yeah, well, especially like the Henriquez thing was just like, at that point the game was sort of decided. He gave up the one run that made it went from 6-3 to 7-3 in a game that I think was pretty much kind of done at that point. So even that one's sort of a wash. He had Knack. He's the guy who had the one bad outing, had the bad inning. But this bullpen's been just lights out. I mean, since game 3 of the second inning of game, and that was Buehler, right? So basically, for the majority of the Padres series and pretty much this entirety of the NLCS, the bullpen has been amazing. The high leverage arms have been just lights out, but I also think it's been key for the guys like Kasperius and Honeywell because they have helped save you some of those big arms, right? That fact that Honeywell came in game 2 and pretty much kept the Mets where they were, but also was able to eat up a few innings there before giving it over to Henriquez late. The fact that you've been able to use Kasperius at the end of games that were already decided and not have to, run out some of your high leverage arms. Those guys to me have been just as important as, the Trinans and Kopechs and Phillips is getting those big outs because they've allowed you to set up your pitching for the remainder of the series.
No, absolutely. And it's just been a complete joy to watch. And I love that you brought up Kasperius. Legitimately, he's got stuff. Like he's got some really good stuff. I know he comes in when it's 8-0 and 7-0 and 9-0, whatever the score is. But every time he's coming, I'm like, he's got gas. Like that dude actually has it's his whole windup and how he moves. Like he starts on one side of the rubber and he moves all the way back to the other side of the rubber, right. and then like it feels like it keeps them off balance. But he has looked pretty good. And coming into next year, that might be somebody that's, could be an actual contributor, and including Brett Honeywell too. So I thought the bullpen has just been, for a long time now, just been absolutely lights out. We got to get into Yamamoto just a little bit. So Yamamoto last night he was good. He went 4 1/3 is basically what you wanted out of him. He did get into a little bit of trouble, but he had a bunch of swing and miss stuff. It wasn't as good as the start against the Padres because it gave up a couple runs, but he got himself out of jams. He got himself out of trouble. I thought Yamamoto is proving that he is that guy at the top of the rotation.
No, I agree. I mean, he did everything you needed him to do last night, right? You mentioned 4 1/3, 4 2/3, whatever it was last night that he got through 73 pitches for the 8 strikeouts, which I know they were sort of contrasting his previous starts and the swings and misses versus what he was able to do last night. And even the one inning that he really got into trouble, where he had the bases loaded. It wasn't a lot of hard hit balls. The Mets found holes in the infield, and so that's sort of what started the trouble. And I think he had the walk to Martinez, I think it was, that loaded the bases. But it wasn't like they were just beating him up. They were just finding spots in the infield or whatever to get the ball through. So no problem at all with what he did. The fact that Phillips came in and sort of locked it down. After that, he is that guy, and I think. What makes me even more encouraged is that, he gets through games like this, and then he's proven to be a big game hunter, right? I mean, I keep going back to the Yankee Stadium start, but that game 5 against the Padres where he came out and absolutely shoved. So he's sort of ready. He's ready for the bright lights. And so whatever happens the rest of this postseason, I've got no doubts about what Yamamoto can give them.
No, I have zero doubts what Yamamoto can give them. And hopefully that Indian series, the Yankees Indian series, goes a long, long time.
Yep.
And they have to go 7, and they have to use all their pitchers, and they have nobody that's going to be healthy moving forward, and it's going to be really, really nice. But
I mean, one thing we learned last night is that the Yankees got bullpen issues. They got serious bullpen issues.
Well, so does the Indians. I mean, why do I keep saying the Guardians?
The
Sorry,
Guardians.
I'm way back in like 1995. The Guardians do too. Emmanuel Clase, that's the second time he's given up runs in this postseason,
Yeah.
and I think it was into Detroit. Detroit hit him up pretty good, and now you have back to back Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton going back to back on him. It's nice to see guys that you've deemed unhittable in the regular season look to be very hittable, and I think I froze again. But either way, I'm just going to keep talking. If you can,
at least I hear you. I can hear you. I think you're not moving. Oh, he might have gone away. So hopefully we can get Greg back. But yeah, no, the idea that the Guardians and the Yankees could go a long way, I think that helps out quite a bit. Look, I think for the Dodgers, obviously the key is to try to win this thing tonight to close this thing out. Get yourself as much rest as possible and let the other side sort of beat each other up. Because here's the thing, Greg, obviously getting the pitching together is one thing, but also, man, get those couple days extra rest to let Freddie Freeman get right. Because it was great that they won last night without him, but you still, I think, did I go away now?
No, you're there. I see you.
But not only did Freddie they win without Freddie, but at some point you're gonna have him back. He's still a key part of this lineup. You need him healthy and ready to go.
Yeah, so they were saying that Freddie is going to play today, that he's going to be in the lineup today. So that's a huge thing. But I want to go back to just the last night's game for just one quick second. Mm-hmm. Evan Phillips, you talked about Evan Phillips. Evan Phillips came in and got the bases loaded. It was just little singles. He had walked a couple guys, and it was bases loaded, nobody out. What he did to get out of that was really, really impressive. And really, you have to give credit to Dave Roberts, too, for allowing him to keep going. I think everybody in the history of the world was saying, get him. and if he gave up a hit, then everybody would have been right. But he got out of it. They believed in him. And he got strikeout, and then in comes Trinan and figures out Lindor, and you just get out of it completely. It was a huge time for this game, and it really made a big difference.
I think that was
that's a lot on Will Smith too.
I think that was the end of the game. I mean, I think that sort of, because that took all the wind out of the sails of the fans. The crowd just at that point, you're like, well, what do we do now? Then the Dodgers come back a couple innings later, put up 2. They open, the Mookie home run makes it it's 7-2 at that point. Then they put on 3 more in the 8th. I just that situation, not scoring anything with the bases loaded, that ended that game. And who knows? I mean, depending on how things go today, that might have ended the series.
No, yeah, it very well could have, because look, you get a hit there, and all of a sudden they start getting hot and they start going through. This team has been holding that top of the lineup down so well. It's been incredible to watch. The whole the Lindor, Vientos, and Alonso trio is doing absolutely nothing. Brandon Nimmo is doing nothing. He's also hurt.
He is hurt. But Vientos is the only one who really has harassed them, right? I mean, he's got a couple of home runs. He had the grand slam in game 2. He had the home run in the first inning last night. Vientos he's kind of the one guy where, like, if we don't see him again, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah,
but
there's always one guy. But if you face the Yankees, it's a completely different team. So if you win tonight, and we'll get into tonight to finish this off, but if you win tonight and the Yankees close it out, that means they're a different team than what we're seeing here. They're much more like San Diego than the Mets. The Mets are free swingers. They swing and miss a lot, and you can get a lot of strikeouts. The Yankees don't do that. The Yankees walk just as much as the Dodgers do. They do not want to swing outside the strike zone. So they are very similar teams. That's going to be an intense matchup. Is that what it is? And I think that's what Major League Baseball and America wants.
Oh, well, Major League Baseball has definitely wanted it. They've been running these promos with basically Shohei and Judge for weeks now, which if I'm a fan of one of the other teams, I'm a little bit bent about that. Like, hey, man, like, don't forget about us. For sure, Rob Manfred goes to sleep at night dreaming of a Yankees-Dodgers World Series and what that would mean for ratings. No,
it would be fantastic, especially now if you're putting up like 12, 13 shares in Japan, it's going to be just as high. So, all right, so let's get into tonight a little bit. So now you have it's I think it's Kodai Senga for the Mets, who we already saw once, and that did not work out for them. And no matter what, even if he is lights out, he only can go 3 innings because he's still very, very early on. So you're going to get more of the bullpen. It's going to be a lot of Peterson tonight afterwards.
So apparently they're going to start Peterson. That is the word, that Peterson gets the start tonight. I think it's just because I don't know if they would use Senga as an opener or whatever, but they are going to start Peterson and try to see how far they can get with him. But I mean, for their sake, they need Peterson to give them some length because that bullpen is pretty much worn out at this point.
Yeah, it is. And also, but if you remember, though, the Dodgers hit Peterson in game 1. Mm-hmm. They got a couple runs off of him. So that's, if you're going to try and go a few innings and he's giving up runs, then that's what it is. I thought I saw Senga earlier, but I guess everyone else is saying it's Peterson too. So I'm with you. I guess it's going to be Peterson. But either way, they've hit him before, and they hit him early in game 1. So I think that if they can continue to do that, if he does not pound the strike zone, he's going to get beat. He's going to walk. I mean, I think the Dodgers have like 8 walks per game in this series.
It's insane the number of walks that they've gotten in this series. I mean, the fact that Max Muncy has been just a walk machine. That was 12 straight plate appearances where he reached base either by walk or hit was just nuts. They've been incredibly patient. They have forced the Mets to throw strikes, and for the most part, when they have gotten them, they have pounded them.
Yes, they have. And what are you expecting out of Jack Flaherty tonight? Because he's on his regular rest. All he needs is 4 days rest. So he is just coming off he's going from Sunday to Friday. That's a normal rest for him. So hoping to get the same thing. I don't expect 7 innings, no runs again, but hopefully he can just keep this pitch count down. He can go long, get into that 6th inning, 7th inning. Because by the way, you're probably not going to see Treinen again on a 3rd day. You're probably not going to see Phillips again because he threw a bunch of pitches as well and had to go. Was it an inning and 2/3, something around there?
Inning and a third, yeah.
Inning and a third, and that's so he probably is. He might be available, but I would assume that they try and stay away from him. It's gonna be Bonda, Kopech. You may see Kasperius or Honeywell, or depending on how it goes. But you don't have those really high end relievers in the Blake Treinen and Evan Phillips. So you need a lot of length out of Flaherty, in my mind.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I mean, if they can give him at least 6, I think you're good to go at that point. You can limit the arms you use in the back part of the game. But I think he's going to go out and be good again, right? I mean, maybe not 7 shutout innings and 6 strikeouts, sort of good. I mean, I think the strikeout number he can certainly match again tonight. But I think he gives them the length they need. And look, if the offense shows up the way it has for most of this series, look, Dave Roberts has done a masterful job, right? He's pushed all the right buttons in terms of the bullpen. Not to take anything away from him, it does get easier when you have a 5 or 6 run lead to work with to make some of those decisions. And so if the offense can give him that luxury again, then you can sort of play around with, Flaherty and how long he goes and which arms you bring in and whether or not you're having to use a Kopech in a tough situation or whether you can go and, let Honeywell get you a couple innings to sort of close this thing out. So, but all on the whole, feel really confident with the way this team has played the entirety of this series, even in game 2, the way they have played for most of this series, the way the offense has shown up, the way the pitching has shown up. I feel really good about tonight.
Yeah, so do I. But you need this win tonight. I would prefer, and it's a 2:00 start too.
Yeah.
Another weird start for this game, but early game. Makes it Mason Allen's only going to be 2 hours, so that makes it a little bit easier on me. I get to just watch the game, then go see my daughter in a play. But
I'm gonna be watching it at my kids' swim lessons. Like I'll be streaming it on the side there.
This is where I'm going to watch most of this game. By the way,
same.
We have to do what we have to do. But either way, I do think that he can be good. I just wonder if. Let's say, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, but he has a bad outing. He only goes 3-4 innings. I think they probably let him just sit out there for a while, no matter what, though. They probably let him take it for a bit and try to get him that 4, 5, 6 runs or 6 innings. But if not, I mean, you're going to have to mix and match with. I can't imagine they go back to Knack because that didn't work well. Some Honeywell, some Kasperius, Bonda.
We haven't seen a lot of Bonda in this series. So that could be an option for them potentially.
Yeah, but is he a guy that you trust to go an inning in the 3rd, inning in 2/3, or if he's just a 1 inning guy? Like that's where it makes it a little bit tough because you don't have that same all of the big arms. You still have Hudson.
Yeah.
You still there's still guys in that, but you might have to go into that. I think that's why they used Henriquez last night too, so that you
Yeah.
didn't have to worry about him today.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like, again, win it tonight and you don't have to worry about any of these things because all of a sudden you start getting into bullpen permutations. I know you have the day off tomorrow to travel a little bit, so that sort of resets some things. But, then you're talking about a bullpen. Like, it's too much. Let's not have to think about it. Let's just go out, get the win, and then we can all rest easy. We can have a great weekend. We can watch the NFL on Sunday and not have to stress out about it.
Yeah, and let's say this is for Jack Flaherty. Goes 9 innings with 10 strikeouts and no runs. That's what we're talking about.
Let's do it.
Give me a complete game shutout, baby.
Let's do it.
All right, so stay tuned here. Travis and DeMarco is coming up next. Thank you, Marcus. We'll talk to. Well, you'll be on Monday. I will not. You'll be with Clint Pasillas, FRG. But thank you very much for everybody for being in the chat and for being along with the ride with us during the Blue Review from 8:30 to 8:55. And thank you to LAX. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you, Graham, for your help, and we will see you next time.